Well, good morning again. This is the second video of my new channel, In Search of the Truth. If this is the first time that you've been on my channel, how I get to reach people is by you subscribing and pressing the like button. And then if you really like what I'm doing, there's a little bell there. If you click the bell, it'll let you know when I have another video. But just to recap, and I encourage everybody to, if you're going to come to my channel, to start with video 1. This is video 2. Start with video 1 so that you get the whole story. The videos are only 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most, because that's all YouTube allows me to record at one time. And 10 minutes is good enough for each video anyway, because you might get overwhelmed with all this information. But my purpose is to show you my path, or my search for the truth, and perhaps you feel the same way as I do. But anyway, let's recap 1. In video 1, I ended up with the fact that when I read the Bible, there was a lot of names in the Bible that, lent me to ask questions, like Michael, the Prince of Persia, Melchizedek, Enoch, and I could go on and on and on about all the people in the Bible that the Bible mentions, and the Bible never explains to you who these people are. So, my question is, what if I knew who these people were? Would it change what the Bible says? And so this was on my mind constantly. Plus the fact that another question would pop up. Why mention these people if you're not going to explain how they fit into the Bible? And there was just more questions. The thing that I can't understand is that people read the Bible and they just read it and they take in the information, but they never question anything. And you really need to question things in order to understand what you're talking about or what you're reading about. When you ask questions, that's how you get answers, and that's how you gain more knowledge of whatever you're asking the question about. And so who are these people? Well, as I mentioned before, I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I was praying to God on a constant, 24 hours a day. I had family problems, and I'd like to mention now that just about, everybody in this world has problems and trials and tribulations. And there is no exception to that. We all do. So I was having problems that I couldn't deal with, and I can remember I was in the mountains of Massachusetts on my way to a job in my pickup truck. And while I'm driving, I'm praying, and I'm getting frustrated and frustrated and more frustrated. And finally, I pulled the truck over to the side of the road. I had tears in my eyes. I was kicking the tires, slamming the hood of the truck, yelling and screaming. I must have looked like a madman. But I was really angry that God wasn't answering my prayers. You know, at the time I needed answers desperately, and I wasn't getting them. And so when I finally calmed down, I says, "All right, if you're not going to answer my prayers, I'm just not going to pray to you anymore." And I didn't. And it was about 3 years that went by. And, you know, I don't know how to explain the feeling, but I had this yearning that I needed to talk to God. But, you know, being stubborn and everything, I just refused to do it. But after 3 years of all this internal prodding, one day I said, fine, I'll make a deal with you. I says, I will clear my mind from all preconceived ideas of what I think religion is, and I will go searching. And I will search until the day that I die, and that I promise you. And at this point I want to mention that in the Bible it says if you search for the truth will set you free. Now there's an awful lot of people in the world that of all these 1,000 religions that I mentioned in the first video that feel that they have the truth, along with Jehovah's Witnesses, which I mentioned I'm no longer a part of, but you know, all these people think they have the truth, right? And they read the same book, and in that book it says, if you search for the truth will set you free. So they're reading this one book, reading and reading and reading and reading, searching for the truth, and they're not finding it. There is only about less than 1% of the population of the world that really knows the truth. And that's because, well, I really don't know why people don't want to search. I really don't. It's something that, you know, if something, you know, the thing about life is that you're born and you die, and you have a certain amount of time on this earth, and everybody is busy trying to make their way through life, right? And no one really wants to stop and ask themselves, well, what is there anything after I die? You know, is that it? Is this all to life a mere 70 or 80 years? Is that it? Right? And then I notice a lot of people really don't even think about that. They just go through life, well, I'm old now, I'm going to die in a few years, and that's it. Don't understand that. Because I want to know whether I'm going to live after I finish here. I want to know what's ahead. And you know, another attitude that people have about life is that you got to live it to the fullest every day, because you don't know when the end is going to come. And if you knew what I know now, you would change that view. I feel like right now I'm doing a video trying to help you out so that you know what I know. But I'm not worried about the fact that I'm going to die. because I know I'm immortal. I didn't know that at this particular time that I'm talking about in the video, but I do know now because I was in search of the truth. So when you're in search for the truth, you just don't continually reading one book. You know, if you were looking for $1 million, you wouldn't look in just one house. You'd look around the house, you'd look outside the house, you'd go down the street, you'd be everywhere looking for $1 million, right? So if you put that much effort into money, which is here today and gone tomorrow, and which even if you accumulate an enormous amount of money, when you die, it's going to go to somebody else. So why not look for treasures that are everlasting? Right? Doesn't that make more sense? So if you're looking for treasures that are worth more than money, wouldn't you want to look further than a book? So now that brings me back to the story again. So my business wasn't doing so hot. We were having trouble paying the bills, so I went to school to learn how to drive a tractor trailer. When I finished, I got myself a job delivering groceries to supermarkets. So I would start in Hatfield, Massachusetts, and usually I would leave between 12 midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be downtown Manhattan, New York by 6 o'clock, unloading the truck. And you know, in Manhattan, New York, there's no docks to park the truck into, so if there was cars parked on the street there, you just parked the truck, blocked a bunch of cars. The trailer had an elevator, so I'd get the elevator, open the doors, there was an electric jack, and I'd take one pallet out, 26 pallets every single morning, and I'd line them up on the sidewalk, and the people from the supermarket would come out and they would unload the pallets and put them on these little carts they called, doesn't matter, they were carts. And they'd roll them into the store. And then when the truck was empty, I'd go back to Hatfield, Massachusetts. And I'd usually get home around 11 o'clock, noontime. So it was always a long day.